Hey, what's up everybody? It's Aubrey. Welcome to this week's What's for Dinner. I have 4 super easy and budget-friendly meals for you, plus some homemade banana bread. All right, let's get into it. This was Sunday night and we really didn't know what we wanted to have, so we decided on spaghetti because it was easy. So easy. So I just added some olive oil to a pan, diced up an onion, and sauteed that until it started to soften. Then added my ground beef, which you can see is still frozen because it's hard to break up. Once that is cooked, I added some jarred spaghetti sauce to it and mixed it up. Then I'm going to put my temperature on simmer because if you leave it super hot, the sauce is going to splatter everywhere. Now I got a chopped salad kit from Aldi that day, and I wanted a salad to go with our dinner, and I thought I had a salad, but I think it had gone bad. But anyway, I decided to use this one. So this is a bacon avocado salad. It was pretty good, but it kind of didn't go with the spaghetti. It was a good meal. I wanted a piece of bread to go with my spaghetti, so I took a sliced bread, buttered it up, and put it on my plate. And that's what we had for dinner on Sunday night. Tuesday night, going super easy, and we are having better cheddar, or the cheddar brats from Aldi, and we're just cooking them in the air fryer. I'm also making a boxed pasta salad that I had. So I just followed the directions on the back of the box. You boil up the pasta packet that they provide, and then you use mayonnaise to mix with the seasoning packet. So that's what you see me doing here. Once the pasta is cooked and drained, I just added it to the seasoning mixture and mixed it all up. Now you could stop here and it would be delicious just as it is, but I decided to go a little step further and add some sliced olives just to give it that little extra oomph. And it was really good. I'm glad I did it. For a side to go with the cheddar brats and the pasta salad, I'm just making some baked beans. These baked beans I got at Aldi, and surprisingly, they were really good. And these are the cheddar brats I will be using and cooking in the air fryer. I cooked the cheddar brats for about 3 minutes at 390, and I looked at them and shook them up a little bit and cooked them for about 4 to 5 minutes longer. And that's all it took. It was super easy and they were cooked, and it was so easy. It was like I cooked it on the grill, but I didn't. And this is my plate. I just put some mustard on my brat and had some pasta salad and baked beans on the side. So I had some bananas that were on their last leg, and they either needed to be put in the freezer or made into something. So I decided to make up some banana bread. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I am going to mix up the dry ingredients first. So I'm gonna add the flour, some baking soda, some baking powder, salt, cinnamon, and nutmeg. Then I'm going to stir it up and set it to the side. Next, I'm going to get another bowl and I'm going to mix up the wet ingredients. The first thing I'm going to do is peel 5 bananas and mash them up with a fork. Now, I don't like to mash them up too like mushy. I want to keep some chunk in there because I like to have the chunk of the banana in the bread. Like, you can actually see the chunk of the banana. It tastes really good. But you don't have to do that if you don't like that. If you want, you can mash it up all the way. I've used a mixer instead of a fork, and it becomes kind of liquidy, and to me, I think the bread tastes sweeter that way. So if you want to do it that way, that's up to you. Once you've finished peeling the 5 bananas, you are going to add some sugar, some eggs, oil, and mix it all up. Something that I've done in the past, I didn't do it this time, but I wanted to just let you know is sometimes I'll add a splash of vanilla into things that I'm baking just because it adds a little bit of extra something and it just gives it that, you know, that thing that it needs to take it over the top. But I forgot to add it this time and it's okay. It tasted so good. The recipe says you can add some chopped up walnuts if you want to. I didn't have walnuts, so I decided to use pecan halves, and I am so glad that I did. It just gave the bread some crunch and was just delicious. Once I was finished mixing all of the wet ingredients, I started adding the dry ingredients in little by little. I didn't want to add it all at the same time because the flour mixture could like kind of fly out of the bowl, and I think that even happened to me where I was mixing, some of the flour mixture came out of the bowl, and it was okay. I cleaned it up and it wasn't a big deal, but that's why you do it in small increments and you just mix it up, add more, mix it up, add more, and it just gets to the consistency that you need it to get to. Once you are finished with that, you're gonna take 2 bread loaf pans and spray them. Make sure you spray them really well because you do not want your bread to stick to the pan when you're trying to take it out. And then you're gonna bake it for about 55 minutes in the oven, I believe at 350 degrees. I am going to link this recipe down in the description box below. I got it from the Better Homes and Garden, like the red and white checkered cookbook, but I found the recipe online. So I will link that for you to look at. I found this recipe on Pinterest. It's called Momma's Buttered Chicken. I will link the recipe down below in the description box so you can have a look at it. but it was something I've never seen made before, and I thought it looked really good, so I wanted to give it a try. So the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna melt some butter in the dish. So instead of melting it and then putting it in the dish, I just put the dish in the oven to melt the butter, which worked really well. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna mix up the flour and I think it was just salt and pepper. So the flour and salt and pepper, and that is what you're going to dredge your chicken breasts in. Once the butter is melted, you are going to dip the chicken breast. I'm using 2 chicken breasts that I sliced in half. So I'm going to wet the chicken breast with the evaporated milk and then cover it with the flour mixture and put it in the butter. And it is going to bake in the butter. As a side for dinner tonight, I'm going to make some baby roasted potatoes. So I'm just going to take these Little Potato Company potatoes and slice the potatoes in half. They are already cleaned, so you do not have to do that step, which makes things really easy. So I'm just going to cut all the potatoes in half, and then I'm going to add them to a bowl where I'm going to add some olive oil and some seasonings. For the seasonings, I am using salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, and Italian seasoning. We don't add too much, just enough to give it some flavor. I don't know, maybe a half a teaspoon of each. And that's it. Then I mix it up and I put it on a sheet pan and bake it along with the chicken in the oven. I am also cutting up some broccoli to steam. What I do is I just cut it off of the stem, cut off the little pieces, and then I put it in a pot with some water. I am steaming it, not boiling it, so you don't want the water to go all the way up the side to cover the broccoli. You want it to cover maybe like 1 inch to 2 inches of the pot. What I'm doing here is using the rest of the evaporated milk, and I am going to mix that with a can of cream of mushroom. The directions said, or the recipe said, to use cream of chicken, but I accidentally grabbed the cream of mushroom out of my pantry instead of chicken. And I decided to go with it because I didn't want to waste a can of soup after I'd already taken off the lid. So whatever. It actually turned out really good. I'm sure it tastes similar to if I would have used cream of chicken, but I would like to make this again using cream of chicken just to see what it tastes like. And it also tasted really good, so I'd like to have it again. It also said to add a little bit of water, and I was worried it would thin out the, I don't know what you call it, the liquid part of this recipe, but it worked fine. It wasn't too liquidy at all. After 30 minutes, you are going to take the chicken out and you are going to flip it over, and then you are going to cover it with the evaporated milk, chicken, or the cream of mushroom soup mixture, and then put it back in the oven for 30 minutes to bake. And this is what everything looked like when it came out of the oven. It was surprisingly such a good, tasty meal. It is something that my husband and even my son, my picky eater, he really liked it. So I think this would also be good with mashed potatoes because of that gravy consistency over the chicken. But overall, this is definitely a meal we are going to have again. I am trying to incorporate more Instant Pot meals in my repertoire, I guess. I don't know. I'm trying to use the Instant Pot more when I'm cooking dinner. So I decided to make Instant Pot chicken Alfredo, and I found this recipe on the Instant Pot YouTube channel, which I was like, oh, I didn't even know they had this, so that was cool. Anyway, so what you're going to do is you're going to use some olive oil, and you are going to turn your Instant Pot to the saute function, and you are going to put, I sliced 2 chicken breasts in half, and I seasoned them with salt and pepper, and I'm sauteing them in the Instant Pot. What I thought was so interesting about this recipe was that I didn't have to use my stove or my oven for anything. Well, except to warm up the Italian bread, but I cooked everything over the Instant Pot. And the only problem with that is that I'm short, so I had to use my stool to actually see inside. But other than that, it was really nice not having to use the stove to cook dinner. So you are not going to fully cook the chicken because it is going to cook, cook like a manual pressure. So you're just going to brown each side of the chicken. And you don't want, it said in the directions not to overcrowd the chicken. You just want to, so that's why I only did 2 chicken breasts at one time. And once the chicken breasts are done cooking, you are going to put them on a plate and cover them with foil. I put mine in the microwave just to sit until you were finished and ready for it again. Then you are going to add some butter, and you are going to let that melt. And once it's melted, you are going to add some garlic. I just used the minced garlic in the jar that stays in the refrigerator, and that worked fine for me. You are going to scrape up the chicken bits at the bottom of the pan. That just adds more flavor. One thing I did want to say is make sure you don't cook your garlic too long, because if you overcook it, it becomes very bitter, and you don't want that in your sauce. Next, you're going to add some chicken broth and then some heavy cream, and you're going to mix it all together. Then you are going to add your noodles. I am using fettuccine. You need to break the fettuccine in half to make sure that it fits inside the pot. And then you're just going to mix it together. This is where you are going to add your chicken back in. The directions said to make sure that the chicken is coated on both sides, so I just made sure to dig it in there, and so it was covered a little bit, and I put the lid on. You are going to cook it for 10 minutes at manual pressure and then let it naturally release for 10 minutes. At this point, you are going to take your chicken out and you are going to slice it up into bite-sized pieces. And I'm also going to give the pasta a stir. I was very hesitant to make this. Like I said, I'm not great at making Instant Pot meals, so I wasn't sure if the noodles would stick to the bottom of the pot, and they didn't, like, at all. It was great. This is where I add my shredded Parmesan cheese. You're supposed to add 3/4 a cup. I just added what was left in that container and just gave it a mix. The chicken was so soft and tender. It was cooked perfectly. I mean, I don't know if I've ever made chicken that was cooked this well before. I was very impressed with this recipe and so glad that I gave it a try. This chicken Alfredo is the best chicken Alfredo I have ever made, and I am going to make it like this from now on. I am not scared of making chicken Alfredo in the Instant Pot, and I'm so glad I tried it. I paired that with some garlic bread, and that was dinner Saturday night. Thank you so much for watching this week's What's for Dinner. I am so glad you are here and watching. If you liked it, please give it a like and consider subscribing to my YouTube family. I hope you guys have a great week and found some dinner inspiration. I will see you guys next time. Bye!